Hello, my friends, and welcome to our Wednesday night forum, Religious Science in Depth. If you don't know, our building was locked down in March 12th, and they locked the doors. We haven't been able to get inside since then, so because we haven't been able to have our normal Sunday morning and Wednesday night service and classes, we are doing it by way of video, and I'm able to get this video lesson out to you thanks to the wonderful Katrina, who is going to edit this and put it online for tonight. And I want to thank you all who are communicating with me on your appreciation for what we're doing. And I love doing it, and I love teaching. That's what my life is devoted to and dedicated to. So let's have a good Wednesday night lesson. I was thinking, and this is a good time to do it, being locked up, what is it, day 70 in isolation, that probably one of the big challenges that you have in a situation like this is motivation. Because I know the other day I had to turn on my computer to find out what day it was. And I was laughing with my wonderful Maine Coon cat, Marcus, that I have probably turned into a cat. I find myself sleeping when I'm tired and eating when I'm hungry and doing a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and working on a couple of books, and doing a lot of counseling over the phone. People need to talk, and I appreciate being here for them. And teaching these lessons on Wednesdays and Sunday. So tonight, let's look at the idea of motivation, which is an interesting thing, how to be motivated while isolated. That'd be an interesting lecture topic. Let's begin with a principle that we can understand. And that principle is in every person's subconscious or subjective mind, there is a desire for truth, and I think this is true of everyone, everywhere, every religion. A subconscious mind desire for truth. Now, subconsciously, we are aware that all negative conditions and situations are unnecessary. Do you hear me? They are unnecessary. They're unnecessary, and what? They should not be part of our experience. You see, what's the old, if you can see my hand, what's the old doctor jokes that the guy goes in and says, "Doc, it hurts when I do this. What can I do about it?" And the doctor says what? "Don't do it anymore." Well, if your thinking is hurting you in any way, or depressing you in any way, or upsetting you in any way, knock it off. Do something else. Now, in religious science and unity and divine science, all of the New Thought teaching, we have a technique. We have a technique for getting rid of negatives. That's what we stop being a complainer. Now, how do you do that? Clear thinking consciousness is one of the main ways to do it. It's the New Thought way. There are other ways, Jungian psychology, anything that helps. Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. If the ism you're working with is working for you, keep working with it. But remember, as we talk about quite often here, truth is not truth unless it leads you to you. So let's get back to it. Clear thinking consciousness, which becomes the power behind your motivation. is the way to create something new, fresh, and right in thinking, and therefore produce something new thinking produces, and that is new, fresh, right experience or event in your life experience. This requires decision. Thank you, Dr. Barker. The power of decision. Decide to decide. A lot of people are deciding not to decide, which means they're going to throw their life into the world and say, decide for me, world. Well, why not take the power of the truth of you and decide for yourself? It's done unto you as you believe. Thank you. And the Master Teacher Jesus taught that. If it's true, there's a principle that backs it up, and that is the principle of you operates on your belief system and produces an event that looks like it. And then you move into it and live in it. Well, if you don't like what you're moving into and living in, change your consciousness, change your life, change your thinking, change your world. This we call the action of God, and it takes place in our individual consciousness when we know that it's taking place. Do think as love thinks. I love the story of the concert pianist who was playing in Beverly Hills at a wonderful party they were having and was just flowing on the piano. A woman walked up to her and said, you know, I'd give anything to play the way you can. And the woman at the keyboard said, no, you wouldn't. She says, what do you mean? The pianist said, if you really wanted to play the way I can, you could play the way I can, or better. And the same thing in your own life. Look at happy people and ask yourself, am I thinking the way they think? Look at unhappy people and say, am I thinking the way they think? Okay. Watch what you're using for a model. See, if you don't want a life that looks like someone that you don't care to duplicate, don't think like them. So what happens? We need to know we know that the individual consciousness which we are is ready, willing, and able to take place in the now we're in at a whole new level if we choose to think at a new level. Dr. Holmes says a lot of people do what we do in New Thought naturally. For those of us who want to do it, we can learn how. See, it doesn't matter what you think or what you're creating, it's just something you learn how to do. And one of the most important things about learning New Thought principles and applying them is the fact that we need to, at the same time, unlearn some things. I remember as a child growing up, my mother one day was changing a light bulb and told me not to put my finger in the socket where she took the light bulb out. And of course, when she left the room, I stuck my finger in the socket and discovered why she told me not to do it. Now, I promise you, I have not done it since. And I was probably... Now, the intellect can explain why we have negatives, but the intellect itself cannot heal them. Only the Spirit of the living God can heal through how? Through your consciousness, through mind. It all starts with our individual awareness that we definitely have the power to heal through our knowledge of mind and spirit. That's what happens. With all thy getting, get the understanding. You see, once you see something in a clear way, you can't go back and accept a vague explanation of it. This power in us, as us, works when we work it. Otherwise, it is latent and it's cooperative. Paul, in the Bible, advised us, stir up the gifts of God that is within you. Now, he was a metaphysician. He understood very clearly, or at least this was his way of saying, be subconsciously motivated and do something with that motivation. Motivate from a higher self-definition. Why should we do this? Because the gift of God is what? It's your inner capacity to change, improve, and heal concepts of your own thought. It's that simple. All spiritual healing results from the dismissal of a negative idea and the acceptance of a positive one. I've been in this pulpit in Fremont, Newark, Union City for 45 years. We have seen more healings here than are recorded in the Bible. One of my favorite things in my book, The Power of Positive Purpose, the day when Shirley Penny, one of my practitioners, called and told me her husband, Dave Penny, had had a stroke while playing golf. I went to the hospital and was on my way into the room where he was, and I was stopped. And the doctor told me that Dave had had a stroke. He could not talk. That the stroke hit him in the voice box and the tongue in that area. And that if I go in to see him, should make it a short visit. So I thanked the doctor. I walked in the room. Dave was conscious when I came in, and when he saw me, I could see he knew who I was, just looking at his eyes. He smiled with his eyes and greeted me. We had a spiritual mind treatment. And I said goodbye to him. I reinforced to him that he was in treatment, know he was, and act like he was. As I was walking out of the room, Dave said to me, "Thank you for coming, Dr. J." It was really one of the great days of my life, because as I walked out of Dave's room with a grateful heart and celebrating his ability to communicate with me, I walked by the doctor and said to him, "He can talk now." It was a great moment. Well, maybe you need to talk now, and maybe you need to use words you haven't used before, and maybe those words need to be where you are. See where you want to be, and know you have the power to get there, starting from where you are. Bless where you are. As you do this, you reveal ideas of health, ideas of love, ideas of joy, ideas of beauty in your life you've never had before. So let's close this evening, this Wednesday night, Religious Science in-depth experience with an understanding and an affirmation. Say it with me in first person. I am spiritually motivated to live a wonderful and satisfying life. What does wonderful and satisfying mean to you? Well, my friends, it's good enough to be true. Let it be your way. I love you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Namaste. And now, it's collection time. What did Dr. Barker say once? Said the ministers are not going to be happy the next life because they don't take collections there. I think that was funny. But let's think about the idea that we are having an experience where we're not able to have the congregation or the music or the everything. So I am gearing up to do a lesson, one for Wednesday night, one for Sunday morning, and we'll throw in an additional treatment every once in a while with music. But let's all give thanks for Katrina, and I give thanks for my wonderful staff, Reverend Carolyn, Reverend Bob, Reverend Lacey, and Reverend Sue Tenick. My wonderful practitioners, Finn and Jeff and Nancy I love you all, and I thank you for your treatment, and I appreciate all of you watching. I appreciate your treatment and know you are in my treatment every day. So again, this ongoing experience we call Tri-City Religious Science Center is in motion and stays in motion because of your gift from God through God to God. We thank you for your love, your support, and Katrina will put on the screen ways that you can reach us with a donation, with a love offering, and I want you to know how much our appreciation reaches back to you and embraces you and thanks you. Thanks you so much. And now, my friends, let's go within and have a closing treatment tonight. This is a good time to affirm our perfection because perfect, perfect, perfect. Everything in the universe is perfect. Heaven and earth may pass away and perfection remains. Perfectly happy, perfectly unhappy. Perfection does not care what we do with or how we use it. Perfection does not care what we create with it. So we choose to create the positive. We choose to create answers to anything that looks like a question. We look for the best within ourselves, find it, and give it to the world. And so this evening we know that our life is the action of God, the action of pure God consciousness. This is true at this instant. Anyone listening, it needs to change for the better. The change has already happened. We use our words to describe what is already so, not to make something happen, but to describe what is already true in consciousness. Everything it will be and everything it has been is all happening at once. So I affirm and know as I affirm in first person, affirm with me in first person. In your heart and mind, I am sustained. I am upheld. I am maintained by this perfect life of spirit. It's everything I am. Every cell of my body, every fiber of my being knows this. It is my health. It is the energy and vitality of my body. It is the joy of my conscious maintaining the truth of me in a positive and loving way. I celebrate my ever new experience in the now. I don't affirm Groundhog's Day. I know that today has never happened before. And so I find a way to give to it in a positive and loving way and know it returns to me. I praise the pure, fresh life that I am living right here and right now. I know in truth there's no such thing as isolation. I honor and bless where I'm living, what I'm able to give, the technology that allows me to give it. I make certain that my mental and emotional attitudes are health creating. Nothing to heal. I do all that needs to be done physically to give full attention to my indwelling health. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy world. I have no interest in anything that is seemingly opposite to my perfect well-being. Any and all subjective patterns which might cause illness or lack or fear or doubt or depression, confusion, unhappiness, ill health in any way. I know and know I know right now that these concepts are annihilated by this treatment. Which is the word of God spoken unto the eternal law of mind. I am life triumphant, and I know it, and I rejoice in it. And that's the way it is, and was, and shall be, in the now of forever. So it is. Love is blessing us. You bless me by sharing this time with me. And I celebrate our time together. Namaste. Love you. Be safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Have a good one.